And we're live. It is Saturday, August 1st, 5:03 p.m., 2020. It is, I'm holding a glass of blueberry
Oh,
wine.
yeah. Is it really blue, Ben?
Oh, it's kind of purplish. It's made with grapes and blueberry. It's quite yummy by a local vineyard um, out here in the Shenandoah Valley in Virginia, where the cabin in the woods is. It is the deck made significant progress today, and it was sunny and bright. And look at the sky. You can see there's blue in the sky. And so I have not put away my power tools, which are still lying out on the deck, which is a problem because we now hear the distant rolling sound of thunder, as Pink Floyd would say. And I am a little bit concerned that in the middle of In Lieu of Fun, it is going to storm, and
That would be
I
fun.
I will have to run around and actually fix, bring in the power tools live on In Lieu of Fun, which would be a ridiculous thing, but it may have to happen. So we're keeping an eye on the clouds. We are keeping an eye on events at the Department of Homeland Security, which has been more eventful than the clouds today. The head of the intelligence agency at the Department of Homeland Security appears to have been removed this morning or last night. And what else are we keeping an eye on? We're keeping an eye on Kate's shirt, which is one I have never seen before.
I
It's an
found it in a drawer.
awesome embroidery. Is that embroidery?
Yeah, it's like little cross stitch.
It's
I
pretty
didn't
cool.
I didn't do it. Thanks.
You didn't do it. Um, so
I have
what's
many
on
questions.
what's on your mind, Kate?
Well, one, I want to know, I feel like blueberry wine reminds me and like that it's kind of purplish. You know that scene in Charlie and the Chocolate Factory where they squeeze out Violet after she like eats the gum or whatever it is? Remember she
Yeah.
gets to be the size of a blueberry? That is kind of what I'm imagining. Like it's like that's what you're drinking is like violet juice after they take her to be squeezed out
Well,
and they roll her away.
that has an oddly cannibalistic
Oh no, I think
um,
it's very like yes.
uh, overtone to it, which I'm no, it is tart, semi-sweet. Um, it is blueberry, uh, kind of somewhere between blueberry infused and blueberry. It's much less sweet than you expect it to be.
Hmm.
Yes, Lou. This is definitely wine. It is. Lou says I like blueberry wine, but is it really wine? I think some blueberry wine is not, but this is definitely an actual wine. I would say it's flavored with blueberries, but uh, it's really primarily a grape wine.
Got it.
I find it very pleasant, and I like the man who makes it very much. That is the answer to the blueberry. It is, yes, Colleen got it right. It is kind of like a sangria, only without the rum.
So I want to ask you a bunch of questions on behalf of our viewers about DHS. We should definitely get to that today. We have to plan the show.
Yes,
Um, and um, we have to think of a poll.
or many
Um,
polls. Like I liked last week when we did
yeah, like
you
like
know,
a couple of them.
it was like quite a lot of polls.
Yeah, I like that too. I think that yeah, I love that idea. There's like I don't know, let's get to DHS like towards the end and then we can go to questions and stuff. But do you want to plan the show?
Sure, let's plan the show.
It's not going to take very long this week because I have three people lined up for us.
Oh, well, that makes it easy.
Yes.
Um, what do we got?
Monday is Kara Swisher.
Right. Is she
So
going to show up this time?
God, I hope so. That would be like that was a little like uh man um last time. But yeah, no, she should show up. And then think Tuesday. I think that she just confirmed it. Did she confirm it? She suggested Tuesday. That is Cash Hill.
Oh, excellent.
Yeah. So she's coming on, and she just did a great story about. I don't know if you've ever heard this. She did this thing where she tried to live without any of the top five tech companies, like like devices or services or anything, and see if she could do it for like 2 weeks. And
How'd that work out for her?
not well. And like it was really fascinating. She wrote it up for I think it's, I forget who she used to be with. But anyways, and then she just kind of did an update on the story for the Times where she's at now. So she's on Tuesday, and then Nate Persley is Wednesday to talk about his lawfare project.
Excellent. I am so excited about that project. We mentioned it the other day when
Yeah,
Nate
tell us a
made a
little more
cameo.
about it.
Well, I don't want to spoil it for Wednesday, but so
Okay.
Nate and a professor at a political science professor at MIT have been running this incredible project called the Healthy Elections Project, which is an effort to they've gotten a very large group of law students and young lawyers together to do research state by state on what it will take to what needs to happen in every state in order to uh, actually make the election in November come off. And they've done a series of, I think it's like 40 memos, very detailed memos. Like, some of them are 15, 15 pages, some of them are 50 pages, that are detailed memos about particular states and particular issues that are cross cutting across states. And so Nate approached me about it a few weeks ago, and I thought it would be a pretty like these memos are quite dense, and if we could kind of reduce them to 3 to 4,000 word articles, that would be general interest articles that are about, like, for example, the first one that we released last week is what is the situation in Arizona, right? A battleground state with a competitive Senate race, and a huge COVID outbreak right now. So, what's the situation in Arizona? What's it going to take to pull off the what's it going to take to pull off an election in this environment? And they've done a huge amount of research in all of the battleground states, but in a bunch of the other states as well as in other countries. One of the early memos that we haven't released yet is on South Korea. How do you do it? How do they do elections in this context? And so it's seriously good work product. It's exquisitely nonpartisan, and it's highly useful. And so we thought it would be a good thing to do for the larger conversation to have a voice, a platform for this where it was condensed to something that was readable at article length. And so looking for we're looking to help them kind of distill this material into stuff that's I guess not merely useful for the election security person, for the election for the Secretary of State in different states who are trying to pull this off, but is also useful to keep the general interest reader informed.
Yeah, he is great at that. He's also just so prolific. Like I have no idea how he does it. We have like a words with friends game that like has been going on forever, and he like instantly responds to it. And then also like he's like, "Oh, by the way, did I send you a link for my book that I just wrote?" And I'm like, "What?" Like, and then he's like, he's like, "Oh, I have to go." Like, well, he'll like call me to ask me about something. Then he's like, "Oh, I have to go and like brief like the Milwaukee like on like on their election, and then right after that, I have a call with Tanzania to brief them on their election, or like whatever it is. He's he's incredible. So like I'm obviously a huge fan. He's been a friend for a long time. I met him at the same thing I met you at. That was the first time I'd met him. He's so great.
Indeed, yes,
Yeah.
he's great. He's
The event
extremely
that keeps on giving.
indeed. Um, all
So
right.
that's Wednesday. And then we don't have anyone for Thursday or Friday yet.
Well,
Um, what?
I so a couple of thoughts for Thursday and Friday. I do think we should continue our pattern of once a week having somebody who's uh, a kind of election reporter or data person, in the Claire Malone department.
She was so
Um,
good.
oh,
I
she's
liked
so
her a
good.
lot. I loved her.
Yeah, and she's and I just think, having somebody who's able to talk about the race qua the race is a good idea. Um, so I was thinking maybe this would be. I think we should wait on the 538 model people until the model is actually released, just because it would be more interesting to talk to them about the model, their electoral model, once it's out there. But the Economist model is already out there, and I wonder if the fellow who is running that would be a interesting.
I know a bunch of people at The Economist. Do you want me to? Do you?
We're getting some thunder now. Um,
Oh, yeah.
uh, um, I was just going to tweet at him on,
Oh, cool.
he's doing a kind of daily diary of the model on Twitter, and I was just going to tweet at him and see if he wants to join us. And then there's Nate Cohen at the New York Times, who's their kind of election metrics person. Um, and yes, John Bordeaux, I agree with you. Anne Applebaum's book, Twilight of Democracy, is highly recommended. I think we cannot have Anne on because Anne lives in Poland and the time difference
It's
would
too
make it the
stark.
middle of the night for.
We've
Uh,
changed the time of like in lieu of fun a few times to accommodate people.
we could, and we could also even do like something recorded with Anne, although it's hard to take live questions.
I love the questions though. I like the liveness.
Anne is one of my dear friends. We were literally next door neighbors, offices, adjacent offices at the Washington Post when I. Um, uh, so Pontiac. That's hilarious that you raised that when in my interview with Anne, I asked her whether Twilight of Democracy is a reference to Wagner or a reference to Nietzsche. And she laughed and said it was a reference to, it was a warning, and I could take it as a reference to whomever I wanted. I thought it was I think it's a very clever title because Twilight isn't quite the setting sun, and um, uh, Arc. I love the idea of Dave Wasserman of
I'm
the
putting some of these down.
political.
I started a spreadsheet for us, by the way, so we have all these people in one
But
place.
I also want to work on Pontiac's suggestion of Camille Paglia, who I think is. Uh, I have not read her consistently since she used to have a column in an advice column in Spy
Oh, really?
magazine,
I think I
which
knew her from Salon.
yeah, she had this awesome column called Ask Camille Paglia, where you would ask her questions like dating advice questions, and she would give you truly deranged advice. She's also the author of a truly incredible book called Sexual Personae, which I think is genuinely brilliant, and uh, and uh, Catherine Maddox. I love the idea of John McWhorter as well. I think he is so interesting and different and creative. Um, so that gives us a lot to work with.
We have a whole bunch of people. We're totally fine. I've reached out to Dana Goldstein. She's about to give birth to her second baby and go on maternity leave. So she says that if we're still doing the show in January, she'd love to come on. Um, so that was kind of a bummer. I reached out to Dana Boyd, and Dana has not responded to me, which is weird. I should just text her. I sent her an email instead. Um,
Robin, we can't do Sarah Kendzior because for some reason that I'm not aware of, she hates me with the fire of 1,000 burning suns.
Jake
Um,
Buzzhart, we will do a Civil War Reconstruction historian. I also really did love the idea of the U.S. Postal Service historian, that
yes,
guy,
I love that idea too.
Richard John.
And
I have,
Rachel
yeah,
and Rachel Bitcover could easily be
our person
our
this week.
modeler for this week.
Okay,
Um,
great.
and so, yeah, I think we've got a lot of options, and particularly since we have the first 3/5 of the week scheduled. And no, that was not a reference to the 3/5 clause. Um,
Do you have to say that every time you say three-fifths?
I
You
don't
don't have
know.
to, Ben.
It's like I
Like
don't
you like
want.
see it in a
I
recipe
would
and you're
literally
like,
meant 3 of 5 days are scheduled. Um,
oh my
um,
God. Um,
Pontiac, the answer is Nietzsche was a younger colleague of Wagner's. They were friends until Nietzsche split with him. And Götterdämmerung is earlier than the Twilight of the Idols, but the Twilight of the Idols is self consciously named as such as a response to it. And Nietzsche's one of his first major he wrote an essay objecting to Wagnerian opera and thought was one of his big breaks. So they're sort of contemporaries. They are contemporaries, but you're correct that Nietzsche was significantly younger, and Wagner was dead by the time Nietzsche wrote his most
I think I
important
have our
works.
first poll, which is should you be allowed to have dialogues with just like just dialogues with people in the chat? Um, is it fair to the other people who watch on other non-crowdcast devices? And two, I think I'm going to propose that you should never be allowed to do it when it is about Nietzsche.
Okay, let's pose this question. Hang on, I have a hand issue here,
I
so
know,
I'm going to put down my mic, and if I get quiet for a minute,
because
don't
you're
get upset
typing the
at me.
poll. I will.
Okay, can you still hear me?
Yes. So I have. So
Ben
I think we have
and
a good set of things on for uh on for this week. It's going to be. I think that we should make the week after this the Reconstruction week, and Civil War and Reconstruction. I just think that that would be fantastic. And I love the commitment to a data person every week. I think we should start explaining to our guests ahead of time that we do a poll so they can think about it for uh for the balance of the show, and maybe like at a given time in the dialogue propose a poll, so because like otherwise they just find out about it in the last 3 minutes and it feels rushed, and I think it's super fun. And I'm just kind of going on because you're on the you're typing this poll.
keep talking. So wait, here's how I'm wording the poll. Tell me if you think this is fair. Question: Ben and Kate should respond directly to chats. Never. It's unfair to people on other platforms. Whenever they feel like it. Um, that's the benefit of crowdcast participation.
Okay, that feels fine.
Uh,
Not, I don't know.
at any time except about Nietzsche. Um,
Also,
which
Tony Kava, we did know the. Sorry, I'm doing it. I'm obviously violating it.
see
Like
you're
in the pro. No, I mean it was just kind of like that specific. You started having a gripe with that one specific thing, and I was like, yeah, but no one else is like thinking about Wagner and Nietzsche and like the time period right
no,
now.
but Pontiac asked a perfectly reasonable question, and I happen to know the answer to it.
Only about. I want to. Yes, it's fair. How did you know that, by the way?
I don't know. I like Wagner operas, and I have read Nietzsche, and so there you go.
I found out that Habermas was like modern, and I didn't realize that, and I was very
I think
I
he's
thought
still alive.
I that was like terrifying for me.
Okay,
Um,
here we go. So the responses are Ben and Kate should respond directly to chats. Never. It's unfair to people on other platforms. Whenever they feel like it, that's the benefit of crowdcast participation. Anytime, except about Nietzsche because that's pretentious. Or number four, only about Nietzsche.
what about okay, that's perfect. Except what about if Nietzsche it's not just pretentious. Well, okay, no, I guess that is
All
maybe
right,
my main gripe. Okay, go ahead. Go ahead. You can do it now. I'm
it's
gonna vote.
done. It's out. Oh, and we're getting an overwhelming vote for responding. It's like the crowdcast vote is
Yeah, it
voting
was
for
like the
their
crowdcast
privilege.
likes their privilege. Yeah, yeah.
Crowdcast privilege here.
I okay. I don't know if you can even still hear me, but um
I can hear you.
okay. A
Wow,
little
so
more.
this is like an 80% vote for crowdcast privilege.
Yeah. This is why we can't get rid of the electoral college, Ben. I'm just
Only
pointing that out.
only one vote for never it's unfair to people on other platforms.
I think that should be our next poll. Is this an example of why we can't get rid of the electoral college?
All right. I think the answer is we will respond. And Jocko says Habermas is 91. We are. Look, I mean, anybody is welcome to join the Crowdcast at any time. There is quite a cool community on the Crowdcast. People have gotten to know each other. People even talk in other contexts. It's really quite cool. So, one of the benefits of joining us on Crowdcast as opposed to on other is that you get to vote in the polls.
Yeah.
And that means to the extent that we make decisions in part based on viewer sentiment. Also, when I go to the YouTube comments, I'm kind of like shocked by them every time. So I've stopped going. So I
Yeah.
just don't
I'm
look
glad you don't
anymore.
I'm glad you don't do it anymore. Although I
Um,
did appreciate you trying to like clean up the conversation at one point. That was
yeah, I mean,
very
there's like,
kind.
it's interesting. There's like a lot of gross stuff in there about Kate and sometimes about our guests, particularly when they're female. Um, and there's a lot of kind of demeaning stuff about me that often I don't understand, which is weird. It's never gross. It's just kind of weird.
No,
Um,
but that's
ooh,
actually this
now we're
really
getting some.
interesting point. Is it raining? Did
It's
people
not
run
raining,
away?
but we're getting some thunder. So I may have to be mobile in a second. Don't mind
And
me if I suddenly get up and run away.
people
Um,
don't appreciate like how much people talk in their own language and like trolls talk to each other and they under like they're just like and that's what one of the things that makes content moderation on those things so difficult. It's like you can't even understand it. You have a vague sense that they're insulting you, but you're not even quite sure what they're saying. It just feels bad. It's like
yeah, and
bizarre.
I honestly don't mind being insulted. I do mind. What I mind very much is people feeling entitled to come into my space and insult our guests. Like,
Yes.
like
Yeah,
I don't
no,
mind.
I
Like,
don't
you
like
want
you.
to throw grapes at me, that's fine. But
I
like we,
also feel bad. They can see your chat and it's not very pleasant. It's just like and it's distracting too.
yeah, I just don't like. I just think if you're gonna come into somebody's space, and I've asked or you've asked somebody to come into this space and be a guest, like demeaning comments about the guests are not okay. And I do think demeaning comments about Kate are a little bit different from demeaning comments about me because they discourage other say, younger female academics from doing things like this. And
That's
so,
true.
whereas I don't think there's really a problem with middle aged male think tank scholars doing things like this, being like sort of like intimidated
I don't
out
know.
of
It's
it.
kind of awesome that you do this. I think that there's some that would. Okay, I have a new poll. I have another poll.
Okay.
I should we make merch? Should we start making merch? And if we make it, should we use it to fund buying you a new webcam?
Wait, what's wrong with my webcam? The problem is my internet connection.
Is it your internet connection?
No,
Maybe.
so look, here is
Okay,
the
maybe it's not
problem.
the webcam or a mic or something, some
Here's
consistent setup.
here's the problem, and I'm gonna solve it. Okay. So people keep telling me get FiOS. I already have FiOS. Um, the problem is that first of all, we have multiple people using Zoom in the house all the time. Um, Secondly, that the distance from the router actually matters, and my little cubbyhole is about as far from it as is possible to be from our router. And I have not created an extension for the FiOS into my little
Grotto?
summer grotto summer room thing. So I am going to fix that irrespective of the merch question. So I think we should detach the merch question from
Okay,
the
I was
Ben's
just
Wi-Fi
kidding.
question.
But I just like don't know what we would do if we bought. I guess we would just do at cost,
No,
whatever
we
the
should
merch costs.
give it to charity.
Oh yeah, that's what we should do. We should give it to Ooh, that's
Uh,
the next poll. So okay, so like okay, so assuming we do merch, who should we get? What charity should we give it to?
um. Okay, so here's. Uh,
I'm thinking Goats of Anarchy.
okay, so the merch question is now public.
Oh good. This is a fun way to do Saturday shows. I like
Yeah,
this.
I like.
It's like very fun and interactive. Oh my gosh, Pontiac. The reason that I asked that question was just I was just teasing Ben, and it was because Ben was just going off about an esoteric subject that you were having in chat with him, and it was fun and fine, and I was just teasing and joking around. Um, so anyways, it was not personal in any way, Pontiac.
Okay, so we have an overwhelming pro merch vote here and zero no merch vote. So I think we should
Maybe
have
we need like, but what is our merch gonna say? We don't have a logo. We don't have anything. We have some real. Wow, that clouds behind your head have completely changed since the
yeah,
start of the
it's getting. Remember the blue sky that used to be in back of
show.
me? Um, no, things are getting. Uh, oh, thank you. Tony says he voted no to
Also,
round it
Tony,
out.
we did know that you were kidding, Tony. I knew you were kidding.
Um, all
No
right.
one's judging you, Tony.
So we will have merch. It's just not clear what kind of merch
Well,
we're
I
gonna have.
I mean, we can get the baseball card printed on something. That's for sure. Um, we could
Oh,
get
yes, Rick Fleischer suggests that we do something with the Lisa Page
oh yeah.
puppet.
Yeah,
Um,
we could do a Lisa Page puppet. We
I
could
think
mass
if the
produce the Lisa Page
I think the
puppet.
Lisa Page puppet maybe should be the face of the In Lieu of Fun T-shirt.
It's too confusing. That could be one t-shirt, but it's just like one joke. There's so many jokes that we have had that like are here for everyone. Let's see. There's like the Lisa Page puppet.
Jason Jason Connor just made an awesome suggestion, which is
What's
that we
that?
have my mom on In Lieu of Fun.
Oh my God, I would
Um,
love that. Because your mom, you just sent me a screen grab of a text with your mom that was so cute.
so my mom is
Tell
actually
everyone what it was. And your mom's
no,
actually interesting.
I don't think I'm going to betray my mom's confidence, but
Okay, that's fair.
my mom is a esteemed mathematical statistician who
So
designs
cool.
clinical trials and knows a great deal about how you test drugs for efficacy and safety, and was involved in some uh, uh, used to run the statistics branch of the National Heart, Lung, and Blood Institute. And actually,
That
for those
sounds
of you
awesome.
who are interested in my mom, so Quinta Juresic's
I'm
dad.
interested in your mom is a very questionable phrase to use.
I meant it as innocently as humanly
Your
possible.
dad is like, what, you're putting your mother out there on the market?
So, Quinta's dad is also a mathematical statistician who does clinical trials work. And so on the
Oh, that's
Lawfare
fun.
podcast a couple of months ago, Quinta and I had our parents on the podcast, and we
Oh,
did
that's
mom and
cute.
dad talk clinical trials. And so, for those of you, the reason I think somebody knows to suggest my mom is that he probably heard uh, the episode of the Lawfare podcast, which has nothing to do with national security law, and involved my mother and Quinta Juresic's father. And I do recommend that for anybody who wants a just sort of a primer on how controlled clinical trials work. And I think my mom would probably enjoy coming on in lieu of fun, and we could probably even do it uh, in a garden in person, which would be the
Oh,
first in-person guest on in lieu of fun, other
that could be
than
fun.
John Shea.
Oh, John was on that one time. I forgot
Yeah,
that.
you actually he asked a question and you turned your computer around.
Well, that's only because his microphone is broken. He gets yelled at by, he has like 4 meetings a day with for his job, obviously, like, and apparently they just scream at him the whole time that no one can hear him on his microphone. So anyways, we didn't do that. So um are you just screwing with me?
Yes, I'm just screwing with
Okay.
you.
You're on mute, Ben.
No, I'm
um
not.
yeah, I know. No, I think that that's okay. I love the idea of having your mom on. That would be really fun.
My mom's pretty fun. My dad's pretty
There,
fun too.
yeah. I
But
mean, both of them.
clinical oncology isn't what people are talking about right now.
No, but I think it was Zach Bliss who asked the question about like what's happening to all of the studies that are being taken over. And I know that one of our viewers partners is also has a lab that they are part of that like has been completely taken over by COVID. Uh, and doing clinical studies and for COVID. And like I'm just kind of super interested in like how much this I hadn't even thought about it, but how much the pandemic is going to set us back in terms of fighting other diseases because we've only like just turned our fire hoses 110% on COVID.
You know, the
Like it's very zero sum now.
um so yes, and I do know from my mom that a lot of the non-COVID studies that she's involved with have been profoundly disrupted. Um, and the clinical impacts of that of studies that have been some of them have been some studies go on for years and years and years, and all of a sudden you can't access the enrolled patients anymore, and you lose just the amount of research that you lose if you don't handle and I'm really kind of talking out of my ass here, but the amount of research that you lose if you can't, if you lose years of contacts with patients because you can't access them anymore, you've been assuming that you have follow up on an X regular basis, that becomes a serious knowledge loss.
Yeah, no, I think that that's I would love to have your talk to your mom. That would be really fun. I Maybe we can do her on Friday if we can line
I'll
up a data
ask.
person for Thursday. Although there are those days, Ben, when we both are like, well, fuck, we don't have anyone for the show. And it would be awesome to just have your mom in the pocket to be like, call your mom, Ben.
If you can't get your mom on short notice, well, like,
Exactly. I
I'll
think that that's
uh,
perfect.
I will talk to mom and see if she's available to do in lieu of fun.
Yeah.
Um,
Um, Wait, it's 5:38 already. Wow. That went
it
by
is.
fast.
I'm just thrilled that we're 38 minutes into the podcast and I haven't had to jump up and move the power tools
Yeah, I'm
inside
kind
yet.
of waiting. I'm waiting for that. Um, there's there was something I was gonna just ask. And it wasn't a poll. Oh, wait, we have to figure out who we're giving merch. too. I mean, should it be COVID related? It feels like it should be COVID related, or the
Let's
money
make
from
it
merch.
let's do it COVID related and completely non-political so that everybody can agree.
Oh, yes, non-political
Like
was always
just
going to be my vote. Um,
yeah.
if anyone wants to make us we're just going to pick random still images from YouTube. I think I'll close, I'll get really drunk and close my eyes and just like randomly click things in YouTube and then take like
Uh-oh.
a screen grab and then it'll go on a
Make
t-shirt.
sure one of them has bees. Make sure
I don't
one
even
of them has the bees swarming.
I mean, the bee is pretty great. No, there are some really good ones. I don't know, but like I'll figure it out. Some of it feels a little. I don't want to like. Well, I guess they're like their faces all over YouTube, so it's not that different to put it on a t-shirt. But I don't know. We'll figure it out. If anyone out there is design oriented and wants to make us a logo, we could do go with that. We
Yeah, we're 128 episodes in. We don't have a producer, we don't have tech support, and we don't have a logo.
we don't have a
So,
logo.
like
Listen, we've got us. And we've got a title for the show, which was always the only three things that we needed.
what about yeah, Baby Chipmunk would be a good idea
Oh.
for in lieu of fun.
Oh, that's a good point. Yeah. Baby Chipmunk. Baby Chipmunk went away though. So or Baby Cannon Fire. Oh yeah. Oh yeah. It should be someone I should get someone to do an illustration of my dream, which was little baby cannon, and this goes with our Civil War and Reconstruction like focus. Little baby chipmunk in a little Union soldier hat firing baby cannon. I don't know, what a picture of Donald Trump? Like, I don't know. Like, that seems like a great.
So somebody just suggested a shattered baby cannon, and I just want to point out that I keep finding all over, up to like 100 yards from the spot, shards of the 3D printed baby cannon all over the lawn. Uh, there you go. All right,
It could be.
we will.
It could be. We could do Boris Johnson. Okay, I'm like thinking we should. Okay, we have to. You have to write this poll down, Ben. You have to write this poll. Okay.
Uh-oh.
So, what should our first piece of merch be? I'm trying to think of some themes that we've had. We have murder hornets. We have baby cannon.
Wait. Did you hear that thunder?
Yeah, that was ominous. Oh, wow. I'm a little jealous of that thunder. That sounds lovely.
I am in an uncovered environment, as are my power tools. All right, murder hornets. Baby
We only have
cannon.
20 more minutes, Ben. Just hang on. Murder hornets, Boris Johnson, saber-toothed anchovies.
Oh, the saber-tooth anchovies were a high.
I know you love the saber-tooth anchovies, and by bees, by relation to saber-tooth anchovies, Caesar salad. Let's see what else. Okay, we have baby cannon, baby chipmunk, cowlick. Trying to think.
We got a lot of subjects here.
We've got, I know, lamb prosciutto. I don't know, lamb prosciutto is like, I don't know. That's not, it's like that funny.
All right. I don't know. I think you holding the lamb prosciutto is.
Oh yeah,
one
you
of
did
the
love that
iconic
picture. That was
images.
pretty funny. Okay, fair enough. Fair enough.
All right, I think we got enough here.
Yeah.
We got a lot of options.
Non-house trained goats, weed cookies. I'm like, this is pretty great. Like, and I was gonna say like, maybe we should just have one that has one grand like Last Supper image that has all of them in them.
I don't know how to spell prosciutto.
Oh, the Lisa Page puppet. Prosci. Prosciutto. Pros.
It's
Never
okay.
mind.
It's fine.
I could literally I could type it out, but I wouldn't be able to. Thanks, everyone.
Okay, here we go. Oh, there's two T's in prosciutto. Okay.
whatever.
Here it goes.
I want to know what you vote for, Ben. Hold
No,
on.
I'm not. I don't vote in any of these.
You don't? Oh,
No,
maybe I
I
vote.
don't even. I don't even have the option of it.
Really? Oh,
Nope.
I don't. I'm changing my vote. Oh, I want to vote for all of them. I guess I should just go back to voting for all of the above. No one wants murder hornets or Boris Johnson on a t-shirt. That should
Today,
be
by the way,
that is like an interesting. That's like an interesting.
today, by the way, there was actually murder hornet news.
I know. I saw you tag me in that. There was one found in Washington, and we
A
sent it.
live one.
I know, and we pray for Tony Cava and Michael Fromberger that they escape the. I'm never selling the original Lisa Page puppet. I don't think, unless it's for a
No,
good
I think we have
cause.
to give it to Lisa.
I do think we
Um,
have to give it to Lisa, but I will make. I could make replicas because I have paper bags and a Sharpie. uh, I really liked that.
I
You know what I did that? I like actually pulled up a picture of her on Google and was like, okay, she looks a little stressed out there. Gotta find one where she looks. Gotta find a picture where she looks. Like, I was like, oh, that looks like a good picture for the puppet to be. You wouldn't know it from looking at the puppet, but
um. All right. So we are. It looks like Baby Cannon has won. I just want. I
really?
just. Yeah, Baby Cannon has doubled any other vote.
Well, let
Um,
me look.
Baby Cannon
Oh wow, yes.
says that if uh, she's going to be involved in this, it has to be the destruction of the computer because it has to be something that's unique to In Lieu of Fun rather than other things. Um,
I oh, we forgot Baby Prosecco.
Baby Prosecco
Speaking
and
of things that we
the
can't spell,
confrontation between Baby Prosecco, the computer, and Baby Cannons seems to
maybe
be.
it's
I
not like a t-shirt that we need. Maybe we should have someone turn like In Lieu of Fun into a graphic novel of
I
like
just
this
want to
epic
say,
battle.
if I were voting and I'm not allowed to vote, I would vote for saber-tooth anchovies and lamb prosciutto. Um, I think
Are you
the
hungry
moment.
right now, Ben? Is this like going to the grocery store with like your stomach
Well, first
empty?
of all, the saber-tooth anchovy was like 4 feet long.
You went like
Um,
this, Ben. You
no,
went like this.
the saber-tooth anchovy was awesome, and it was fearsome like the sky in back of me. And okay, before it starts raining,
You have to run
and I
away.
have to run inside. If people have DHS questions, I am happy to answer them.
Yes. I'm mostly wondering, like, what did you think about the news? Did he get fired or did he resign? Like, what happened?
He did not get fired. He appears to have been reassigned.
Oh yeah,
Um,
that's why
um,
I was like, there wasn't
but
either of those things. Yeah.
from he was removed from the job of running the DHS uh, um, uh, intelligence and analysis unit, and so what exactly he was reassigned to is not clear to me. Um,
Okay, interesting. Are you happy about that, or do you have no feelings about it, or do you just kind of are just like this whole thing has been so bizarre?
Look, I don't know him personally, and I'm not gonna, triumph about it. I do think his conduct over the last 3 weeks that I'm aware of is unbefitting, inappropriate for somebody in that context, and it's clear to me he shouldn't be in that job. I don't want to. I don't want to cast aspersions on him as a person, and I don't want to But the memo that I released about violent Antifa inspired, I forget the exact acronym that he was using,
Yeah.
was wildly inappropriate. The directive that he appears to have issued concerning which Steve Vladek and I reported on about surveillance of protesters in Portland was completely inappropriate. And, if I do say so myself, the intelligence report about me was completely inappropriate, and about Mike Baker from the New York Times. And so I do think he is somebody who was engaged in activity he should not have been engaged in, and pulling his office in directions that no intelligence component should go in. And so I think it is certainly appropriate that he is removed from that position. I don't want to be um, I don't want to say that will end the problem, and I also don't want to. I don't think it should be. It's not a personal thing.
Yeah. Oh, I wasn't like trying to make it sound like it was personal. I just kind of meant like, what, like, do you think that do you think that professionally that's the right response for like what he did, which I agree with you is like professional, like, which was not a great series of choices and like very kind of borderline to say the least.
Look,
Um,
it's totally harmless as pertains to me, right? So I run that Twitter feed in order to have influence, including and give information, including inside of government. So the idea that the way that the mechanism, like that got shared through government, um, and is a that's completely appropriate. It's fine with me, right? That my stuff gets sent around the government. I like that. Um, the idea that it's cast as an intelligence report is very offensive, the and to see how it's offensive, imagine that it's some other public record material other than a tweet that I want to be shared, and um, imagine instead that it's something embarrassing about me that somebody reported in the newspaper. And then imagine that it isn't me, it's some protester who's actually exercising a different First Amendment right. I know there's been some violence associated with the protests, but most of the protesters are not violent. They're just out there protesting. And so they collected and reported on me because I was engaged in one First Amendment protected activity, which is to say, uh, uh, journalism. Um, if you can do that, you can do other kinds of reporting, intelligence reporting on people for engaging in their First Amendment protected activities, and they shouldn't be doing that. And so I do think once you're in the business of doing that, you're in very dangerous territory. And this is an extremely harmless example of it. I'm fine. I'm amused, but the conduct is not amusing. And if it's done to other people in a slightly different way, it can be very destructive.
yeah. No, I think that that was what I took away from your comment. Um, yeah. Uh, are you are you kind of feeling like this is over now, or what do you think? You think there's like going to be more kind of stuff that happens, or like is this kind of the end? Like, are things kind of with the reassignment? Is this like wrapping it up?
Um, no, because I do think the scope of authorized activity is is a concern. Um, and I don't think we understand the scope of authorized activity. And so I'm trying to figure out ways to report on that further and elucidate that further. And some of that involves just further research and, frankly, further leaks. And some of it involves potentially litigation. And I am concerned to, and right now it's, uh, you know, left protesters protesting police brutality, and the way the justice system works. But next time it might be Tea Party protesters in a Biden administration, and we really should have clear rules of the road that, running protests is not a basis for intelligence surveillance.
Yeah.
So
I mean,
I'm,
it's just like so antithetical to everything, like of how the Constitution even came into being, that it's just kind of like it's almost like jaw-dropping in its kind of starkness, in my opinion. But
right, and
I'm also staring at like Gordon Wood's The Creation of the American Republic. Like it's like holding up my computer. But like, yeah, I mean, I just this was just kind of a baffling. I didn't even know what to make of it when you told me about it in advance of like the show. What was it? Right, I don't remember
yeah,
what it was. But like,
it was a
I
few
was just
days
kind of like,
ago, and
yeah, it's been like so long. But I was like, I just don't understand. Like, I don't
no,
understand.
I
Like,
gotta say, I still don't understand. So on the one hand, you say, well, if it was an effort to intimidate me, and for that matter, Mike Baker, that's a very silly effort because we weren't supposed to know about it, right? If it's an effort to summarize the tweet, why not send it out as part of like the daily press clippings,
or like,
right?
couldn't you just disseminate it like with an email, like with
Yeah,
like I don't understand. Like,
exactly. And
I
so
just don't get it.
if it's an effort to actually do intelligence, it's moronic intelligence work. I mean, oh, and they called me a source in this thing, and what they meant by a source was that I had written this tweet, and so I am genuinely still perplexed as to what they even thought they were doing.
No, I don't get
And
it. I think it's terrifying. I don't know what your civil course of action would be, like, or otherwise. I don't know what I don't know what your cause of action. Sorry, not course. Cause of action would be for a suit. I know you could do FOIA to find out what happened, and maybe then you'd find out kind of something. But like, yeah, I've been thinking about this for a couple of days and kind of turning it
it
over. What do you think? If
so
you
I
want to talk
actually
about it, you don't
I
want. If
actually
you don't want
don't
to, it's
want to
fine.
talk about that.
Yeah,
I'm in consultation with lawyers about what my options are, and uh, I don't really want to flag that before I need to. I will say that what I'm concerned about is how to use the situation to shed light programmatically on the intelligence activity that DHS is engaged in.
yeah.
Um,
Someone
um,
asks in the Q&A, Ben, do you think your relationship with James Comey may have motivated them? Which is kind of similar to what I asked you also. But yeah, I was just kind of like, well, you kind of are like, there's a bunch of people that you've been writing about and like know, and so like maybe this had something to do with it. What are your thoughts?
Honestly, don't know. So let me. I
I
think
don't
the
want to
answer
just
is.
put it on James Comey, by the way. I think
I
that
I
it's
think
not.
the answer is probably not, but I'm not sure. So Comey and I are good friends. Um, that is not a secret. And it is also not a secret that when he was fired, um, I released some information to the New York Times, which I did openly and by name, and, was completely, it was all on the record. Um, and, um, and so I have never made a secret about either my relationship with Jim or with the or the a certain broader set of facts about that. That said, and so there is a sense in which I have come to be associated with a certain group of people who are now former FBI officials, some of whom I knew in real time and some of whom I've come to know in retrospect. And um, and so in the back of my mind is like, does that have something to do with this? On the other hand, so that would be like the president is reported to have said to White House staff that I'm a bad American, and presumably that's what he's talking about, right? And so I do hold that in the back of my mind. On the other hand, so that's one side of the equation. The other side of the equation, and what I actually believe, is that this is overzealous response to leaks. There is no reference to any of my kind of deep state friends in that. There's no reference to anything other than the fact that I tweeted the things that I tweeted, and they did do exactly the same thing to Mike Baker at the New York Times. And so uh, my assumption is that this was not a reference to my contacts, but rather the way people were responding to these leaks.
Yeah. Marty,
Um,
I'm first of all, everyone is very concerned. First of all, everyone is very concerned about the cloud behind you. I am so concerned that literally it like has turned the sky behind you has turned the same color as like the shingles behind me. It is kind of terrifying. So maybe we should wrap soon. Two, uh, Marty in the chat asks a really good question, which is basically saying that um, he doesn't understand why the label of the intel. He gets that. I'll just read it. I'm sincerely still confused about what the problem is with the DHS matter. You agree that there was nothing wrong with disseminating the info, but that it was terrible to label it an intelligence report. It's a stupid label, but why is it pernicious? And I think
okay,
you kind of have already addressed it a bit, but
so
if you want to clarify.
let me address it directly. First of all, I didn't use the word pernicious. I didn't use the word terrible. I said what concerned me is uh, the way it was labeled. Look, if it is appropriate to DHS is allowed to collect about in on in support of certain missions. They have interpreted the mission set extremely broadly now to include, for example, protection not just of federal property but of private monuments, including, Confederate monuments. The So they are, but this is a step beyond even that because they are now collecting on the fact of people reporting on DHS's activities in connection with that. This is indisputably First Amendment protected. So my initial response is they are they are not allowed, at least as I read the guidelines, they shouldn't be allowed to collect on this subject at all. If this is about a leak investigation, presumably the people conducting the leak investigation know perfectly well that this tweet existed, right? That's what they would be investigating. And so if you are allowed to collect on journalists for doing journalism, and granted, I'm only sort of a journalist, but for this purpose, I think I am. If you're allowed to collect on it at all, why aren't you allowed to collect a lot of other stuff? Why isn't this prohibited by the Privacy Act dossier provision? So do I think it is a highly significant civil liberties abuse? No. And I've said that from the beginning. Do I think there's anything wrong with them sharing my tweet? No. I just wish they had included a link, and so that people could follow me. Do I have a problem with them responding to leaks by saying, "Hey, who's ever giving this shit to Wittes, cut it out"? No. Do I think they should be collecting on Americans or U.S. persons
Into formal
without
reports, even if
in
so stupidly named.
in intelligence reporting, um, in in the absence of a clear mission? Um, and should they be over non-classified information? No, I don't. I think that's, and I don't understand where the line is. If it was okay to do an intelligence report on my tweet, why isn't it okay to look and do an intelligence report that says Wittes, who tweeted this, also did the following other things? Um, that are publicly available. And for that matter, why not go to Equifax and buy all the public record information they have and include it? I don't think there's actually a principled answer to that question. I think if they're allowed to collect on me, they're allowed to collect on me in the public domain. And I do think that's harmless as regards me, but not harmless as regards, say, a lot of protesters in Portland.
I we have to wrap, but I thought that was a great response. And I also just think that like in general, uh I I really saw this as like something that would have been a more major news story if it had been any other presidency. And that also, so in that sense, it was a brick in the wall of like all of the ways in which the norms have broken down over the last couple of years, in every department, from the DOJ to the executive, or from the, I mean, the same thing, but like, and the, but also like the State Department and all of the things that are going on. So, um, anyways, you had a big week. Uh, I am sure you are exhausted because you've been simultaneously driving back and forth between the cabin and DC, and putting in a deck, falling through the deck, putting in the deck again. like
Wait, I
uh
have deck pictures.
oh yeah, I want to see deck pictures. Wow. Oh, you're on the deck right now. I thought you were like off in the grass somewhere. Wow.
I'm
That looks
I'm
good.
on the undone part of the deck, um,
Please be
and
careful.
I am ripping it out as I install the new boards because I don't want Gurgi to fall in again.
I love Gargi falling. I don't love him falling in, but like I also like that was kind of like if he hadn't hurt, I hope he didn't hurt himself, but that was kind
No,
of
he
a
didn't
cute
hurt
image.
himself.
Um,
Okay,
okay. So we have tomorrow it's my turn for mystery guest.
are you
And
going to tell
so,
us who it is?
yeah, nice try.
Okay, just thought
You
I'd
do
try.
this every time it's a
One of these
mystery.
times I'm going to get you.
It's not it's not a crazy thought, especially after two glasses of wine. But
Yeah,
no.
exactly.
But no, okay, I'll be back. I'm going to yeah, I'm gonna see. Um I don't know. You have a good rest of your night. Rest up. You deserve it. We're gonna be talking. Oh, I almost said what I was going. I almost gave a hint. Shit. Anyways, I'm not gonna say anything. I'm gonna end the show. Uh,
We don't have fun anymore until
but in lieu of
tomorrow, but
fun.
in lieu of fun, you too can have deep state friends, Pontiac.
Ooh, that's a good one. I don't have any deep state friends.
Yes, you do.
I do. See, I don't even know. Man. Okay.
See you later.
Bye, Ben.